The Puppet umbrella is comprised of three organizations. One is CAMP, which is the Canadian Academy of Mask and Puppetry. One is FAO, which is the Festival of Animated Objects. And one is CAOS, it's Calgary Animated Objects Society.
I am Elaine Vereshko from the Canadian Academy of Mask and Puppetry, of where I am the co-educational and artistic director with Peter Balkel.
Christine Cook, Artistic Director of Calgary Animated Objects Society, also known as CAOS.
My name is Cosmo Christofferson, and I am the managing producer of the Festival of Animated Objects.
Before the pandemic, these art forms were fun and niche and kind of cute, but they were getting kind of maybe lame. But something with like the inundation of technology, I think somehow a lot of people gravitated suddenly to mask and puppetry more. It makes people kind of come together in craft or performance, in philosophy. And I think there's something about it actually that after the pandemic, I think we're on like a new revolution of puppetry and masks. And so we actually ended up becoming more busy.
CAOS adapted and reinvented itself during the pandemic. We scrambled funding together to get our artists to create a screen-based work, which many of them had never done before, so that was a big learning lesson. Since then, we've continued that work and we've continued to adapt. I would say one major thing that happened actually post-pandemic was burnout and recognizing a need for more business support for CAOS's activities. I think like many artists, you kind of get in your own little silo and you're really focused on the things you're trying to achieve, and you don't realize that right next to you, somebody is doing something that you could be part of or that you could support in some way. We started talking about how much was going on in the scene, how many artists were there and how much activity there really is, and how we wished we had more admin support for each organization. And we started kind of going, well, maybe if we banded together, then we could attract a better qualified person and keep them, as opposed to just kind of having this little part-time contract. And then luckily, CADA put out a call for funding called Future Focus, and they funded our first round, which was more of a discovery round of like, who are we together? How are we going to do this?
I think time was one of the biggest challenges. Each organization has our own ebb and flow of activities and busy times. So we were all patient with each other, and we really leaned on each other in terms of like strengths and weaknesses and busy times and lull times to push ourselves into the second phase of making it happen.
Our intention around creating this role was to bring a more business-minded person into the mix and to really support what are effectively artist-run organizations.
When you're asking for a very diligent person to come into a very loopy group of artists, it's an interesting combination of skills, but I have seen that person exist. So I'm like, no, like we can do this. We can find a person that totally lets us be weirdo lupos, that loves diligence and schedules and also loves to keep us accountable. I feel very grateful that Samina came in. So then now we've set up a weekly schedule, at least as of right now, that every Monday morning we collectively all meet.
It's been great getting to know Samina and to see all of the connections and all of the ways that she thinks about things and approaches things that is different than the way that I do, and that is going to be very supportive.
The arts are inherently collaborative, but a lot of that collaboration is often not compensated or sustainable. So I think that this position, establishing it, really gives us a future that looks a lot more sustainable than a lot of what the arts industry looks like to me. Samina just started, and we're already starting to see a lot of the rewards of the investment that we made.